everyone, and welcome to today's Chrissy B Show, the program that loves to look after your mental health and well-being. Well, in today's world, equality for those with disabilities is a lot better. There is more access to facilities, and in general, society seems more understanding and tolerant. However, as we all know, we don't live in a perfect world, and there is still lots of work to be done. So on today's show, we'll be focusing on the issues surrounding disability and work, how these issues can affect people and what can be done. We'll be speaking with Dr Audrey Tang on how having a disability and being involved in the work world can affect someone psychologically. As well as this, Chelsey Baker talks about overcoming the obstacles you may face being disabled and trying to make it in the business world. Plus, we'll be joined by Dr Rob Hicks, who will be answering your medical questions. And we'll be showing you how we got on when we did the MHDChallenge at Broxbourne Church of England Primary School. Singer Jade Cuttle gives us a great performance, and at the end of the show, I give you my tips on how to tackle loneliness. So to start us off, let's go to our resident psychologist, Dr Audrey Tang, to see what she has to say about the mental implications of being disabled and being in the working world. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
So as you heard today, we are speaking about disability and the workplace. But first of all, can you tell us maybe some of the psychological issues that people face?
Yes, let's look first of all at discrimination, which is the key thing when it comes to disability. There can be different types of discrimination that someone can experience. It can be direct discrimination, so being treated in a disadvantaged way or unfairly just because you have a disability, or because your employer perceives you have a disability, or because you're associated with someone with a disability, such as you've got a child with a disability. So that's it was quite useful to know that association can also be discrimination. And that can be very direct, and in terms of that, it might be something like your employer saying to you, oh, well, I didn't think to invite you to something because you don't usually work at those particular times. It may be an important thing you could have gone to, and it should really be your choice to decide whether you can go to it or not. There's indirect discrimination as well, which can be where your employer might choose to, maybe a silly example, put a water cooler on a higher shelf just to save some space. Now that's fine for most people, but if you're in a wheelchair, you may not be able to reach it, and you are disadvantaged because of that. And again, it's not deliberate, it was indirect. Then there's harassment, which is any form of unwanted conduct relating to your disability. But bear in mind, this can also be almost becoming the poster child for that disability. So some people who have MS or have autism or have whatever disability it might be, they might want to be an advocate for it and might want to talk about it. But if you've spoken to your employer and said, right, I've just been diagnosed with whatever this is, it's not necessarily right for everyone to come to you and say, oh, can you talk to me about this? I've got somebody who's got this. Could you give me all the answers? You're not necessarily the guru on it if you don't want to be. So make up your mind as to how you wish to be treated. And then also there's victimization, and that will be unfair treatment following making a complaint about discrimination. In terms of that, that can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and all of those things can exacerbate the disability even further as well. So there's a lot of things we do need to be a bit mindful of when it comes to workplace.
So what can people actually do themselves to help themselves in this kind of situation?
Well, know what your rights are is the first thing. The Equality Act 2010 is very, very useful for that. But also speak about it if you feel that that's something you want to do. Don't be afraid of saying to people, I don't want to talk about it any further, or you can ask me a few questions, but I don't want you coming to me all the time to talk about it. Bear in mind that stigma usually comes through ignorance rather than malice, and so because of that, the more we do educate other people about what's going on, the more that you can explain, well, this helps me and this is why it helps me, that can make a difference to other people as well. So talking about it, deciding how you want to interact with that particular diagnosis or that particular disability is important as well, because it gives you a little bit more power that way. It gives you a little bit more control. Let's
take it to the workplace now. What can the actual workplace do to help people with disabilities?
Well, the workplace is legally required to make reasonable adjustments. Now, what would be unreasonable would be, say, for example, hiring somebody with a bad back when the work requires manual lifting for a good part of that job. So that would be acceptable as a form of discrimination. A reasonable adjustment might be making adjustments on time, working hours, so you can make your medical appointments. Alternatively, it might be for training or for the recruitment process to give you a little bit more time to answer questions or to do whatever test is there for you. Simple things might be if you have asthma and the lift is out of order, to allow you to work on the ground floor for a while. So the employer does have to show that they have made those reasonable adjustments, and it's very difficult to bring a case unless you can see that the employer has done everything they can in the first instance. But rather than going to an employment tribunal straight away if you feel that there are some things that the employer could be doing or there is extra discrimination you're facing, it's better to try and talk it through first.
That's what I was thinking, because it might be just the case, say if it's a small organisation and there hasn't been adequate training, and then for you to just kind of go and start complaining, I think of initially a nice talk with your employer, because they might not have even thought about it.
Of course, and the other thing is though, with disability, that sometimes it may be that you don't want to talk about it or don't want to disclose it, and that is your absolute right to do that. However, the only thing I would say is if you're too proud to mention something, you're missing out on a lot of help that could be on offer for you as well. So think about that. It's always your choice, but know that both decisions have an outcome.
Brilliant. Audrey, thank you so much for your input today.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you again next time.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, everyone, don't go away, because now it's time to talk to our lovely Helena Shard in this week's A Helping of Happy. And as you know, Helena always covers positive news on this programme. Welcome to the show, Helena.
Hi, Chrissy.
Disability and work. What news do you have with us?
Right, okay.
For us, rather.
John Cronin and his John's Crazy Socks. We've actually discussed him before, but I just wanted to bring it up again. So his simple mission was to spread happiness, which he does and still does. John has Down syndrome, and it's never ever held him back. He's really great fun, and actually 10 of the 15 permanent workers that work with him have learning disabilities. But his father, Mark, says that they're the best group of people. They are so driven. They love what they do. They're great fun, and they work so hard, and they're so excited. And they're the same team that started that are still carrying on. So he's so happy with work. So it's just a really nice, positive story, I think. People with autism excelling in technology careers. My brother-in-law can vouch for that because he works for Google. But it was interesting reading a blog. One of Australia's leading providers of disability services. I find that a bit clumsy, but anyway, that's how they talk about themselves. And it's giving people with disability a fair go at opening up a world of opportunity for jobs. And they were talking about, autism and awareness finally increasing in the world. I mean, we still have to do a lot more to make everyone aware, but it's just great that people like Microsoft and Google actually are launching initiatives for people with autism, because they're acknowledging their skill sets, which is really, really good, isn't it? And time seems to be running past me. There's a new book coming out. It's Success Stories, and it's shared in a new book which celebrates achievements of people with learning disabilities. It's by Saba Salman, and she's a journalist for The Guardian, and she has a sister with disabilities, and she thought she wanted to make this great book, and it's out, and it's really successful. And it's a crowd-funded collection of essays on success by high achieving people with disabilities. So it's not about famous people necessarily. But it's a great book. Nice. And it sort of challenges long-standing misconceptions. So maybe a good book for people to read. Invisible disabilities, I suppose autism in a way is that. But I was reading about people that people we know, pop stars, etc. I didn't realise that Lady Gaga, she announced recently that she's got an ongoing battle with fibromyalgia syndrome. I don't know if you know about that. I've got a friend with it, and it's chronic pain syndrome, which is really, really bad. So it's very debilitating. Didn't know she had that at all.
How long for? It's been
I don't know, actually. I'm not too sure, but it's something she's released now. She's talking about it now, a few months ago, which is really great, because obviously again, gets people talking. But she brought out a behind-the-scenes Netflix documentary, Gaga 5'2", because obviously that's how tall she is, and she talks about her journey because she had a popular Super Bowl time, and then obviously things had to change. Yeah. And just the challenges faced by people with chronic pain syndrome. And she talks about her psychological well-being, which can actually flare the condition up.
Wow.
Yeah, which is
it's so closely linked, isn't it? Mental and physical health is just entwined.
Absolutely. So that was lovely. And also Warwick Davis as well. He's a funny actor, comedian, TV presenter, and he was born with dwarfism. But he's done incredibly well. He didn't realise when he was younger he had the condition, and it was only when but it didn't ever hold him back at all, and everyone was so great because he's so gregarious and everything, and in fact it made him a solution-focused person all the time, which helped him on his way.
That's nice.
And he's just done so much, and he's also got Willow Management. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's a acting agency for short actors. Well, actually, you have to be under 5 foot tall or over 7 foot tall.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Which is interesting. And he sort of set it up because he wanted to show that everyone's unique and individual, and
that's right,
not just a collection of dwarfs, but a real talent. But I thought it was quite a fun one.
That's good. Helena, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we shall see you again next time. Now, we here on the Chrissy B Show have been touring schools all over the country to help spread positive mental health education to the masses of children all over the UK and beyond. And here's how we got on when we went to teach the students of Broxbourne Church of England Primary School the Mental Health Dance Challenge. To the side, shimmy, ready to punch? Punch, punch, down, punch, 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 down, down, Superman. And again, let's go. Turn. There was a time in my life where I wasn't happy at all. Okay, I used to feel very down, very sad. I was very scared at night, so when it was time for me to go to bed and the lights would have to be switched off, I was very afraid. And at the time I didn't tell anyone what was going on because I was afraid, or maybe people won't understand me, maybe I'll lose all my friends. So many things were in my mind, and I didn't talk about it for a long time, but the things were getting worse and worse. Now, eventually, I did tell my mum, and I did go to the doctor, and I had a bit of counselling. I had people that I could talk to, and then eventually I found help. But the only reason that I got the help that I did was because I actually spoke to someone about what I was feeling. You see, at the time, I honestly thought that I was the only person in the whole world that was feeling that way. Now, the dance, I know it's fun dancing, it's fun, you know, the moves and everything, but the dance has a meaning. It's not just a dance for fun. It has a meaning. So if you see some of the moves that we were doing, what were some of the moves about? What do you think? Let's start here. Punching. Yeah, the boxing. So what are we punching there? Are we punching people? No. We're not punching people. Who are we punching? Or what are we punching? Yes, brilliant. Fear, we're punching. Fear, what else are we punching? Crush all the worries, yeah. Because it's really important when you call it big feelings, don't you?
Yeah, big feelings, yeah.
When you have these big feelings, sometimes it can seem like this is a giant, it's a bully, I can't handle this, but you actually are really strong. Anything that you're going through, anything that you're thinking, any bad feeling that you might be having, you can get rid of it. I promise you, okay? Because I've seen it in my life. Do you all have your hankies? Yeah. Are you ready, Broxbourne? Yeah. So, Superman. Let's go again. And turn. Sharon, a great success here today. What do you think?
Oh, it's been amazing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And this school really, I mean, to be fair, it holds a special place in my heart, because this is where my two sons came. I mean, they're teenagers now, as you know.
Yeah.
But they came here when they were, when they were little, really little.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Sharon, you've really gotten behind this initiative, haven't you? And I really want to thank you publicly for all your help with getting schools involved and everything. But why is it so important to you?
I think what's really misunderstood around mental health with young people is a lot of us think that it's just grown-ups that suffer with depression. Just grown-ups that have these feelings that just don't go away. But we know that they're, where young people are concerned, there's so much pressure on them now to look good, to perform well. There's parental pressure, there's society pressure, stereotype pressure. There's so much for young people that I think this is a really fun way. I think we've said before, a great fun way of taking that message out. And as you know, I'm passionate about talking about well-being and mental health. So that's
amazing.
why it was such a pleasure for me to get behind the
now,
whole thing.
we have more schools lined up.
We have.
Guys, this is such good exercise, I can't tell you. We're doing some with the exercise, but I mean, it's great that so many schools are interested in actually taking part as well.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, any more schools out there, we've got plenty of dates that, that we're very happy to come and speak to you.
Brilliant.
But yeah, lots on the horizon.
Wonderful.
Keeping dancing, everybody.
Hey. This way! Stop! Step back! And point! Where's my hanky? There it is! Step forward! Stop! Step back! And point! And woo! Slap! And crush! Slap! And crush! Slap! And crush! Slap! And crush! Together! Up! Together! Up! Together! Up! Together! Freestyle!
So everyone, now I'm here with the head teacher at this school, Mr. Paul Miller. And Paul, what did you think of the idea of the MHD Challenge when you first heard about it?
We thought it was a fantastic idea that we very much wished to get involved in. My deputy actually brought it to our school's attention. We think we've got a duty to very much equip our children to succeed in life. We wanted to raise awareness of mental health, to talk about it. That's a healthy thing to do, and to give strategies and awareness to our children in how to cope as they move through this next stage in their educational journey.
And what did you think of your amazing students today?
They are superb, aren't they? They're full of energy. At this stage in the day, they're still going strong, and they put a lot of effort into that dance. And of course, the actions and the symbolism as to what they mean, that's also really important. So I'm sure they've had a great day.
And well, I'm just about ready to collapse, but before I do, it gives me great pleasure to present the official MHD Challenge Certificate of Completion to Broxbourne Church of England Primary School. Thank you.
Well, don't go away, everyone, because after the break, we'll be speaking with Chelsey Baker on business and disability, and resident decluttering expert Sally Walford gives us her tips on how to clear out your kitchen. But first, how many disabled people in the UK are in employment? Is it A, 3.3 million, B, 4.7 million, or C, 9.9 million? Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, your program for all things mental health and well-being. So we hope you've been of help so far in informing you of some of the psychological effects that disability can have on people, especially those that are in work. We'll now be going over to Chelsey Baker to talk about disability in the entrepreneurial world. But first, before the break, I asked you, how many disabled people in the UK are in employment? Is it A, 3.3 million, B, 4.7 million, or C, 9.9 million? Well, I can tell you that the answer is A, 3.3 million. And here to talk about disability and entrepreneurship, it's our resident mentoring expert, Chelsey Baker.
Hello, I'm Chelsey Baker, and today I'm going to talk about physical and mental disabilities in business. I'm going to share with you some thoughts, tips and ideas if you're an entrepreneur wanting to start your own business. Should having a disability stop you being a success in business? The answer is no. A mental health condition is considered a disability if it has a long-term effect on your normal day-to-day activity. Long-term meaning, it's likely to last longer than 12 months, for example. This may be for something like depression, OCD, or bipolar disorder. I've had the privilege of mentoring many successful entrepreneurs with disabilities, and that's ranged from everything from somebody with epilepsy, a wonderful woman that I mentored with polycystic ovary syndrome, at least 10 people now who have had dyslexia. One other lady, she had OCD, and many people I've worked with do suffer from depression. This week alone I worked with a wonderful young man who's got a very long history of mental health conditions, and actually what he has achieved is remarkable. So I've seen the proof, I've seen the success, and yes, it may take more time, it may take more patience, but the rewards that I've witnessed have been really well worth it. And don't forget, confidence comes from achieving, so think about what you can achieve today. Even the smallest of things, the smallest of steps can really start you off on the right track to starting your own business. And being self-employed can have its advantages. It gives you greater flexibility to work the hours that you want to, when you want to. And don't forget that you, of course, will be in control of your own deadlines and targets. Sometimes this can be a bad thing, but depending on the business, you might be able to work from home, and this is a great advantage for those of you who are suffering with disabilities. Don't forget, there's hundreds of online businesses that, they've proved that you can run multi-million-pound businesses from your bedroom. So online businesses are great, where you actually produce something and you sell the products on the internet, perhaps by mail order, and you work from home. Because don't forget, you can outsource the fulfillment and the packaging to somebody else. There's many companies that do that. So there are also many great examples of famous entrepreneurs with disability who have achieved incredible success. We all know about Richard Branson. He's one of the UK's most famous, perhaps recognisable and successful business people. He had a rotten start at school, he was dyslexic, and yet he went on to launch his own magazine at just 16 years old and founded everything, from Virgin Trains to Virgin Airlines and the Virgin Group, which controls more than 400 companies. And Richard Branson is very well known for employing experts in their fields. He doesn't try to do everything himself and be great at everything himself, and nor probably should you. With all disabilities, they can vary. There is no one size fits all, as disabilities can take many forms, and the effects may last a short term, occur at different frequencies, they may be constant, they may be physical, mental, or both. So for example, somebody who suffers from severe migraines might be affected once a day, twice a day, perhaps several times a day, or it may last a couple of hours or a few days. How it affects the person, how much pain or confusion arises from the migraine will depend on that particular person. So the ways to get around a particular disability really do vary from person to person. So I've got some tips and useful suggestions for you today if you're thinking about starting your own business. Number one is to be realistic with yourself and others. If you have a disability, no one probably knows better than you how it affects you and how it affects what you do and the downtime that you need. If you're thinking of starting a business, don't put on a different hat regarding your disability. Be realistic and honest with yourself and others. If you know on average that you lose 5 days a month or 2 hours a day due to your disability, then take time to allow and plan for this. Number two is seek the support or help that you need. If appropriate, you may need to subcontract or outsource many of the tasks. You may, for example, arrange for somebody to collect your goods or products at the end of the day and deliver them to your customers or to the post office. There also may be grants available especially aimed at starting a business or for helping you get additional equipment such as computers. Number three, remember to have good communication. Think how annoying it is or frustrating it is when there's delays on a train and nobody tells you about it and they don't keep you updated. Communicating with customers is absolutely key to business success. So if for whatever reason you can't meet a deadline, it's better to let the customer know early. Number 4, don't be afraid to ask. There are occasions when you may need to ask for help. Businesses often have mentors to give them advice or expertise. Think about who you can turn to. And also don't be afraid to state what you need in order to run your business. There was a famous actress, Stephanie Beacham, who's deaf in one ear. She was never afraid to ask people to always sit on her left-hand side, as she is completely deaf in her right ear. Number 5, plan your day from checking your travel arrangements and journey well in advance. Check the facilities that you may need beforehand and plan for things to go wrong. Always have a plan B. It's far easier to plan what to do when you're not under so much pressure. Number 6, prioritize. If you're likely to suddenly not be available to work, it's even more important that you have prioritized what needs to be done, particularly things that are urgent or critical to the success of your business. Number 7, assess your own skills, strengths and weaknesses and concentrate on what you enjoy, what you're passionate about, and try to seek support in the areas you're not so great at. No one is good at everything, so don't try to be great at everything. Otherwise, this is setting yourself up to fail. Some people use their disability to help create a business. There was the Ralph Braun, the late founder of the Braun Corporation, one of the leading manufacturers of wheelchairs. He himself was wheelchair bound. Number 8, use technology to help you. There is so much amazing tech out there to support entrepreneurs, from business planning software to project planning apps, book creation software to bookkeeping and invoice templates. Every description is out there, from canva.com. You can create social media graphics, leaflets and flyers. Do search online for support with your particular disability, as there may be technology and support services to help you at home. For example, if you have dyslexia, there are apps to help with spelling, reading, writing and visual impairments. If you're blind, there are apps that can help with everyday tasks and apps that read documents out loud to you. There's apps for wheelchair users, autism, hearing loss, sign language. And of course, don't forget, you can use social media and Skype to communicate and talk to customers, which can help you avoiding traveling to see customers. Number 9, have the right documentation in place so that if anybody needs to step in and cover you or help you with your business, if you need to take time off, they will find it easy to understand what needs to be done, how and when. This may be in the form of an Excel spreadsheet or list of outstanding orders that customers, you have the customer's details on, what was ordered, when it came in, or perhaps consider having a CRM system in place. That stands for Customer Relationship Management System. This is of course so somebody can easily come in and access all your orders and the customer's details. Number 10 is security. Remember, security of your data is really important, and it's so important also to keep backup copies of all your documents or any work that is important to you, and also to take regular backups. In terms of security, have a backup that is away from your computer on a separate disk drive. You may prefer to automate your security backups to the cloud, and there's many companies that automatically back up your files every day. There's many great websites that you can look at for more information if you have a disability. So I hope today that I've inspired you to go out there and to think about starting your own business. You're all great at something, everybody's an expert in something, so really delve deep inside and think what your passion is, think what you enjoy, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Chrissy.
Now don't go away guys, because after the break, Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering your medical questions, including this one. Is being dizzy a lot a symptom of something serious? Find out what he has to say right after this break. Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everyone. So just before we move on, I'd just like to remind everybody that soon we'll be moving to Sky 191. That's the whole channel, including the Chrissy B Show. So that will be as from the 1st of May. So make sure you make a note of it and also tell all your friends and family. But now it's time to head over to Doctor's Answers Corner. So first of all, hello Rob.
Hi Chris. Hi.
Are you ready to answer these questions?
Yes indeed, fire away.
Do you remember the email address people should contact you on?
I do, it's doctor@chrissybshow.tv.
It is indeed. So Rob, the very first question. Is being dizzy a lot a symptom of something serious? When I get up from sitting down, I'm always dizzy. I don't get up too fast or anything.
Well, the answer is it could be. And the fact that this is a symptom which shouldn't really be happening means that this viewer needs to get this checked out, because there could be a number of different reasons.
Okay.
The list is long for the number of reasons that could be causing this. So low blood pressure is one. So obviously if you've got low blood pressure and you stand up, even if you stand up slowly, it means sometimes your blood pressure doesn't catch up, you know, and you feel lightheaded and dizzy. It could be something like anemia, where you'll be left feeling dizzy. It could be an infection, it could be dehydration, it could be excessive use of alcohol, it could be being in a very hot environment. So you often find that when people are standing out, you know, in sunny weather, or maybe they're in a warm hall and you know, and they keel over, they faint because they feel so lightheaded and dizzy. Side effects of some medications. So for example, sometimes when we give medicines to help lower blood pressure, people can be overtreated, so their blood pressure is dropped too low, and when they stand up then they end up feeling dizzy, and sometimes sadly they fall down. So there are lots of different reasons. It could be a problem with the heart, where the regularity of the heartbeat isn't correct, or it could be an ear problem, for example. You know, we have little balance canals, a balance system within our ears, and if there's a problem there, maybe an infection or something, then that can cause dizziness when you move, particularly standing up. So I would urge you to get this checked out. As you've heard, the list is long. It's a symptom which shouldn't really be happening, so get it checked out, and then the doctor will make a diagnosis and advise you on the correct course of treatment.
Brilliant. Next question, Rob. My skull has a bad shape and I want it reshaped. Is that possible? My skull has an oval shape.
It's an interesting question, isn't it? I've
never heard that one before.
I've never heard that one before. And what strikes me here is that, you know, this is something which is causing emotional issues, because it's, you know, it's a physical thing that's causing a lot of attention by the sound of things. The reality is, you know, once the bones in the skull are formed, it's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to change their shape. What you can do is technically create the image of a different shaped skull with hairstyles. So that might be something that you could consider.
I'm just thinking that, yeah.
The other thing people can do is actually change their facial appearance, which therefore, by definition, means that their skull shape, their head shape, may look a little bit different. Yeah. And that can be done with implants. It can be done with injection of fillers, things like collagen, for example, and sometimes facial bone reconstruction, but that's a real extreme. I think the other thing to think about is this a situation where actually you're focusing very much on this part of your body? There's a condition called body dysmorphic syndrome, where people focus on parts of the body which to others look perfectly normal, but to them look abnormal and they want changed. And if that's the situation, and indeed if it's causing you emotional stress, the shape of your skull, then I think maybe counselling would be the first step before going anywhere near the route of what can be intensive treatment otherwise, and you know, potentially unnecessary treatment.
Definitely. Okay, and by the way, Rob, we actually do have a whole show on body dysmorphia. If you'd like to check out on our YouTube channel, just search body dysmorphia and you'll find the show there. Next question, Rob. Is my ankle broken? I took a football off the ankle 2 days ago. It hurts when I touch it, and it is a little swollen, but it doesn't hurt when I walk around or move. It hit right on the outside part that looks like a ball.
Okay, so the answer is, from the symptoms, it probably isn't broken, but you know, the ankles are notorious for sometimes having minor fractures and them not being identified. and they're not causing the usual symptoms. So ordinarily with an ankle fracture, somebody wouldn't be able to weight bear to stand on it. This obviously you need this checked out. I mean, here in the UK, you could go to a minor injuries unit or to a walk-in clinic, and a healthcare professional will examine you. And I think you ought to do that to be sure. In the meantime, think about the treatment. We talk about the RICE treatment, and that's not with grains of rice. That's RICE. So R is for rest, I is for icing the ankle, C is for compression with a bandage, and E is for elevation. So you keep the leg lifted up, and then of course you've got painkillers and anti-inflammatories as well to take down any swelling and ease any discomfort. But get it looked at, I would suggest.
Next question, Rob. I lost a lot of weight very fast. What do I do with my skin? It's very loose, much looser than before the weight loss.
That's one of the downsides of losing a lot of weight. Obviously, we encourage people to lose weight when they need to, but often, that weight has stretched the skin, and although the fat may have disappeared, the skin's saggy. And to be honest, there's not a lot that can be done about it. You can undergo surgical reduction of the skin, but that's not something to really rush into. But what also people do find is sometimes the skin adapts. So although it may feel a little bit and seem a little bit saggy, it doesn't seem as saggy as time goes by. So I think congratulations for losing the weight, and don't see this as not as a reason to go and eat it and filling it back up again. And just see how your body responds in the first instance.
Okay, next question. Is it normal for the heart to skip a beat during exercise? I'm a 30-year-old woman who's been weight training extensively for more than a year. I've always been very healthy, but I noticed recently that on rare occasions, if I'm straining during weightlifting or other very intense exercise, my heart feels like it's skipping a beat. Is this dangerous?
Well, the answer here is it can be normal. And this is a situation that commonly occurs when somebody's engaged in strenuous exercise. And what's actually happening is most often that you're not actually missing a beat, but you're getting a beat that is jumping or is coming to sooner than it might do. So it appears like the beat is missing. Personally, it sounds like a new symptom, and so I would urge you to get this checked out. And I wouldn't hang about, particularly if you're getting symptoms of, let's say, shortness of breath, lightheadedness, palpitations, or chest discomfort or pain. The sort of test your doctor is likely to do, apart from ask you a whole shed load of questions and examine your heart, is to run an ECG trace of your heart's electrical activity. They may well recommend that you wear a monitor that monitors your heart over a 24-hour period, so it can actually record these episodes, because the ECG only lasts for a couple of minutes, and it may be that you don't pick up that change in frequency in that space of time. And they may want to do an echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound scan where you're actually watching the heart work and you're seeing how the valves are working as well. But I think this warrants a checkup, and I would think the best course of action for you is maybe to lay off the strenuous exercise until you've got yourself checked out.
Okay, good advice. Last question for today, Rob. Why would I be experiencing joint pain all of a sudden? I'm a 28-year-old male and the pain is in my hips, but I feel it in my knees and feet as well. Is this arthritis?
A number of reasons why you can get these sorts of symptoms. So it could be purely that the pain is in the hips, and then it's referred. Okay. Yeah, exactly. We call it referred pain. Just going into the knees and the ankles as well, or it could be in all of the joints. What other things that spring to mind? Overuse of the joints. Maybe you've suddenly taken up exercise and you've been overdoing it. Maybe you exercise already, but you're exercising too much, and that's put a lot of pressure on the joints. The hips, the knees, and the ankles. Cycling is what springs to mind because it's using all those joints. Is it actually potentially? It could be a side effect of medication. So if you're taking any medication, have a look to see whether that can cause inflammation of the joints. It could be an underlying medical condition, something like an autoimmune condition that where the body actually attacks itself. It could be arthritis, but you are very, very young for that. But that saying that it can happen in people's 20s. I think it would be wise if you got this checked out. And again, I wouldn't hang around if you're also getting symptoms like fever, that you're feeling unwell, or if the joints feel tender to the touch, or they're red, or they feel hot to the touch. The other thing that can often cause multiple joint aches is with flu or the flu-like illnesses, so a viral infection, for example. But I think, really, if these things are not easy enough, obviously get them checked out.
Brilliant. Rob, thank you so much for answering all of your questions.
My pleasure as always.
We'll see you again next week.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now don't go away, guys, because after the break we'll be seeing a wonderful performance from singer, songwriter and poet Jade Cuttle. Plus I'll be giving you some tips on how to tackle loneliness if you're feeling isolated, so stay tuned. Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everyone. So now it's time to have some music. Now Jade is a singer-songwriter, and let's see how mental health has actually informed her work and take a look at her performance.
Hi, my name's Jade Cuttle. I'm a BBC introducing poetic folk songwriter, and today I'm going to be performing on the Chrissy B Show. I first began writing poetry actually when I was younger, and I've always been curious about songwriting. So when I got to uni, I started to wonder why not combine the two, melody and metaphor. So I came up with a kind of poetic folk style, kind of translating poetry into song form. I think my love of poetry kind of kicked off when I was at high school. I entered the Forel Young Poets competition run by the Poetry Society. I really didn't expect to kind of win, but I got an award, and I think from that moment on I started to take poetry seriously. And I think the Young Poets Network has been really helpful in kind of developing my passion for music and songwriting. All my songs and poetry kind of explore emotional chaos. So I often kind of, I guess, hide away in metaphors. So my song, The River, for instance, I'm talking about how even a river shakes and shivers beneath its calm, to kind of suggest that even people who seem calm and composed on the outside can be battling turbulence within. I particularly like kind of the world of nature. And kind of, I guess use this as a mask to kind of explore issues like that. Throw me on the fire, I will not burn. There's too much water inside these bones, like bare and broken branches that beg to be held, left in the rain too long. Throw me in the river and I will learn to tame the water's chaotic curl, not cower from the chill blow that's edging its elbow slow, too close to my heart. But who knew that the slightest ripple would do such harm? Even the river shakes and shivers beneath its calm. A ghostly gasp of cold water climbs inside my bones, creaks me open, but at least I'm not alone. And if I splinter, at least I'll know how far to bend before I break. And I wipe the silt out from my eyes and pray that I'll get through the night. That this restless heart won't dwell too hard and wither away in the light. But who knew that the slightest ripple would do such harm? Even the river shakes and shivers beneath its calm.
Thank you very much to Jade there. Now, if you're identifying with some of the issues of isolation and loneliness that we've talked about today, hopefully the following tips will help you. So I'd like to highlight 2 types of loneliness today. And the first one is if you're actually physically alone. So maybe you live by yourself, or maybe you're far away from family and friends, studying or working, and you don't really have people around you. So what can you do about this kind of situation? Well, the first one obviously is that you can keep in touch with your loved ones. There's so many ways that we can do this nowadays, and free of charge as well. But I would also say don't overdo it. Don't do it too much, because it's like you're becoming dependent on contacting your family and friends to feel good, and that's not a good thing to actually depend on that. It's important actually to build a new circle of friends. So I know it sometimes can be daunting to do that. Maybe you're the type of person that doesn't really like meeting new people, but it's important for your mental health and well-being. So, you know, it could be just talking to people a bit more, maybe at your workplace, or maybe if you're at uni, just talk to people more, ask questions. And sometimes you'll find that you will really gel with particular people, but you won't know until you actually start to strike up conversations with people. If maybe you're kind of a bit shy, maybe you can find things to actually do in your areas, things like, for example, cookery classes. There's lots of clubs that you can join, or fitness clubs that you can also join. And there's places where you're kind of actually forced to kind of talk to people. So that could be a good opportunity to make your own friends. But there's another type of loneliness that you can feel, where you can actually be surrounded by people but feel all by yourself. Now, I know all too well how this feels. When I was depressed, I was literally surrounded by people. I had a big family. I always had my immediate family and my cousins and uncles and aunties. I had a large group of friends when I was both at college and at university. I had people later on at work that I was surrounded with, people that I got along with, but I still felt so lonely because of what I was going through. So I felt that I couldn't speak to anyone about what I was going through. I felt that people wouldn't understand. I felt different to everybody else. I kind of looked at people and thought, well, this person can't possibly be going through what I'm going through. I didn't even understand what I was going through at the time. I didn't know it was depression. I didn't know it was panic attacks. I just knew what I was feeling, but I didn't know there was a name for it. So that can make you feel so lonely. And it does actually feel that no one feels the same way as you do. I literally felt like I was the only person on the planet that was going through this. I know it sounds strange now, but back then that's how I felt. I literally felt like I was in another world. But the important thing to remember is that you are not alone. I've been through mental health issues and come out on the other side. There are plenty of other people that have fought the good fight and come out on the other side as well. But what did I have to do in the first place? The first thing was to actually reach out, speak to someone. And once you've done that, that gets the ball rolling. Now, you do have to get the right kind of help. So, we have organisations on our website, chrissybshow.tv. You can also go to your doctor as the first referral, but make sure you actually reach out and get the right help. And if one form of help isn't working for you, try another one. That's what I did. My first port of call was my doctor. I was referred for counselling. The counselling wasn't really helpful for me, so I carried on looking for a solution to my problems until I eventually found an amazing charity that helped me beat depression completely. So don't stop at I tried this and I'm not going to try anything else. Keep looking for the right kind of help. And also, once you actually start the ball rolling, Fight against depression, fight against what you're feeling, fight against the loneliness, fight for a better life because you deserve it. And it's there for the taking, believe me. But sometimes people kind of give up because they think, oh, it's not for me and maybe I was destined to go through this. No, you're not destined to have a bad life. Everyone deserves a happy life, okay? So just keep going. Well, everyone, we have reached the end of today's program, but if you have a story that you would like to share or you'd like to give us your comments on this program, then do get in touch with us. All you need to do is email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know a bit more about my mental health journey and how I beat depression completely and all the other problems that I had, you can read my story on my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. And don't forget, if you want to contact me personally, you can do so on chris@chrissybshow.tv. Bye-bye for now.